African Tales by Bibe, Part 3. Let me take you to the venue of your exam, the man offered urgently. No, she said with a frown as another tricycle came by. Ke. Luckily, the driver stopped and she ran towards it. The young man only stared at her. Olanma entered the tricycle and pushed her head out. Looking at the young man, she frowned at him and turned away. Imagine spilling dirty water on me and asking me for my name, she muttered. Olanma arrived at the center just in time. The supervisors and invigilators had already arrived. She quickly bought 3 sachets of water from vendors at the venue and washed dirt off her clothes. Then she washed her arms. She closed her eyes, trying to be calm, but the image of the young man invaded her mind. She opened her eyes in a flash. Nothing will distract me today of all days, she decided, and drank water from the last sachet. After drinking water, she felt better and headed for the exam hall. When Olanma returned home in the evening, she was exhausted. How did it go? Jessica asked her with wide eyes. Olanma sighed dejectedly. What happened? What? Jessica was worried. Olanma burst into laughter, spreading her palms. I wrote very well. Oh, good. Both girls hugged each other warmly, laughing. I wanted to tease you a little, Olanma giggled as they parted. It wasn't that hard. I'm sure I solved 7 of the 10 theory questions correctly. But you know, until the result is I can't fully rejoice. You will pass with credits. I'm sure of that. You studied hard. I hope so. Olanma nodded. When is Wake releasing the results? Soon, Jessica said with enthusiasm. I believe my results will be good. Yes, I believe so too, Olanma agreed. Jessica and Olanma passed their exams with good credits. Jessica proceeded to take the university exams and tests, and soon she gained admission into a Nigeria university. Both girls celebrated Jessica's admission. Olanma continued her work at the gas station. For the next 3 years, Olanma worked 4 different jobs as a salesperson. But then, she began to invest her time in digital skills. She saved up and bought a second-hand laptop and began a course in video editing. Within 2 months, she learned enough to start bidding for jobs online. Soon after, Olanma landed her first online job and worked excellently to deliver it. When she was paid by the client, she was excited. She put the money in an envelope and gave it to Jessica's parents as a token of gratitude. They had harbored and protected her for 4 years. She appreciated it. Jessica's parents blessed her money and gave it back to her. They told her to use it as she wanted. Olanma's eyes were filled with tears. She went to her bedroom and shed tears of joy and gratitude. From then on, she became an online worker, able to make more money than she would have working as a salesgirl in shops and enterprises. When Jessica graduated years after and was getting married to a handsome young man who worked in a marketing company in Lagos, Olanma made sure she supported her friend to the best of her abilities. With some of the money she saved over time, she paid for the decorations and added 2 bags of rice to the menu. Jessica's wedding went very well and, subsequently, she left for Lagos with her husband, Chidi. Olanma missed her friend so much. A month later, Olanma rented a house close by to practice a level of independence. Though Jessica's parents objected to her leaving, she told them it was necessary so she would be stronger in life. They finally approved. Olanma rented a 1-room self-contained apartment and was left with just the money for food. She packed into her house without waiting for it to be furnished. She slept on a mat, which wasn't bad. She felt a good sense of achievement when she slept the first night in her house. She thanked God for bringing her this far. She was grateful for Jessica's parents who cushioned the path for her. Olanma earned a steady income from her editing job. Then she got a client that always used her services. She was able to make more money. Men did not allow Olanma to rest. Every day her beauty increased, but she kept refusing their advances. She saw them as distractions, and she couldn't afford distractions. Olanma enrolled for part-time studies in one of the universities in Enugu. She had to upgrade her education. It was hectic for her, working and studying, but she was equal to the task, telling herself it wasn't going to last forever. She made sure she maintained her clients with good work delivery. In her final year in the university, Olanma fell in love with a young man called Olisaemika. He owned a small business in the field of food processing. He had a small rice mill which he wanted to expand with time. Olisaemika professed his love for Olanma, and she returned the gesture. They dated for 4 months, and he proposed to Olanma. She said yes. Olanma was happy and shared the news with Jessica and her family. They were happy for her. They began to make preparations for the traditional wedding. But one Sunday evening, a pregnant woman arrived at Olisaemeka's house. Upon inquiring who she was looking for, the pregnant young woman told Olanma that she was looking for Olisaemeka because his pregnancy can no longer be kept a secret. Olanma's world shattered. She couldn't believe her ears. She ran into Olisaemeka's bedroom and wept. When she was done, she returned to the living room and gave the woman a glass of water while they waited for Olisaemeka to come home. When he eventually came home and saw the pregnant woman, Olisaemeka broke into a sweat. "Neka, what are you doing here?" His voice was low and cold. His eyes darted towards the inner part of the house. "Why did you come here?" "There's no need to lower your voice, Olisaemeka." Olanma stood in the doorway leading into the living room. "I know everything." Olisaemeka groaned, closing his eyes. Olanma walked up to him and pulled out her engagement ring. She opened his hand and put the ring in his palm. "It's over," she told him with a calmness laden with pain. "Olanma, I can explain," Olisaemeka begged, holding her arms. Olanma smiled sadly. "There's nothing to explain. Everything is clear." "I love you, Ola. I love you," Olisaemeka told her, holding her tightly. Neka watched them, making faces at Olisaemeka as he professed his love for Olanma. Olanma pulled away from his grip. "I'm not one of those women who can cope with this kind of situation. I don't have the strength." "Go ahead with her," she told him, and yanked her handbag from the seat. Olisaemeka tried to stop her from leaving, but she warned him not to touch her again. Olisaemeka turned to Nika, glaring at her as Olanma left the house. Everywhere seemed hazy to Olanma. How she arrived at her house, she couldn't tell. Her heart was in pieces. For the next 3 weeks, she couldn't function properly. She lay in bed from morning till night, 3 weeks straight. She lost clients and missed some tests. Jessica's mother visited her and talked to her, not to let the situation continue to weigh her down. "Don't let him win," she would tell her. One evening, a new strength entered her spirit, and Olanma felt light within herself. She got up from the bed and went outside to take in some fresh air. "I'll bounce back. Thank God he showed me how little he regarded me. I won't continue to pine away," she thought, as a cool breeze splashed on her face. Olanma buried herself in work and studies. Towards the time she was graduating, she became an affiliate marketer, and this made a huge impact in her income. This increased source of income also helped her increase her donations to orphanages in the state. From the time she started earning money, Olanma always bought food and provisions for some of the orphanages in the state. She loved to visit them and stay with the kids for some hours. At the age of 28, Olanma was a successful woman who had fought against odds and triumphed. She was earning good money in dollars as an affiliate marketer, and she had established a mini mushroom farm where she worked with a few workers. It was one of her dreams to come true, mushroom farming. But Olanma still yearned for something, the love of a man. After her experience with Olisaemeka, she avoided men just to have a rest of mind. But she knew dodging men wasn't the solution. However, she was still happy with or without a man. Olanma took the liberty of her higher income to visit Dubai. She stayed in one of the affordable hotels and visited the Ras Al Khor Wildlife Sanctuary. She enjoyed the sights of the rich marshlands and the lagoons, excited at seeing lots of her favorite bird, the flamingo. She stayed 2 weeks and returned more vitalized. One afternoon, Olanma was in a hurry to deliver a mushroom package to the courier service that would take it to China when she was caught in a traffic jam. "Oh, I don't like these traffic jams," she breathed as she stared out through the window of her SUV. The black Mercedes-Benz ML 350 in front of her moved and she drove forward, following it close up. When she saw other cars in the front moving, she anticipated the driver would move too, and moved her car. But she miscalculated because the driver didn't move, and she hit the SUV's bumper. It broke. "Oh my God, what have I done?" she gasped. The door of the Mercedes opened, and a man in his late 40s came down from the car, his face creased in displeasure. He walked through the aisle of the traffic jam and checked the back of the SUV. Then he glared at her. "Come down." He waved at her impatiently. Olanma scrambled out of her car. "Women drivers, look at what she did," a tricycle driver shouted. "That's how they drive," another voice added. Olanma could feel the eyes of passengers and drivers on her. She hurried to the man. "Olga, please, I'm sorry. I thought you were going to move," she pleaded. "Is that how you learned how to drive?" "You thought." "You'll explain yourself to my boss," the man said impatiently. "Please, I'm sorry." "This is not a sorry issue." The man didn't budge. "Maybe I can pay for part of the damage," Olanma suggested with pleading eyes. "Do you know how much the bumper of this car is? To change this whole damage, do you know how much it will cost?" Olanma stared at the vehicle. True, it looked expensive. "This car is not a joke. I'm only the driver. How do you expect me to explain this damage to my boss? You want me to lose job?" "You'll not lose your job," Olanma placated. "I'll pay for the damage even if it's a fraction of it." By now the line was moving and angry horns were sounding all around them. Other drivers were now maneuvering their cars away from theirs, some of them cursing in the process. "Look, I'm in a hurry and need to make a delivery. Can you give me your boss's number? I'll call him later and apologize. Then I can make the payment." "You're joking. You'll follow me to the company and sort it out with him," the man said. Olanma gritted her teeth. What sort of trouble is this? She wasn't prepared for any rich man's trouble. "Where's the company?" "Not far from here," the man said. He pulled out his phone and took a picture of Olanma's car. He was about to take her picture. "What are you trying to do?" She blocked her face with her arm. "In case you run away." "Put that phone away. I'm not running away. Lead the way." Olanma looked at her own car. The front was equally damaged. She shook her head and entered her car again. The man took the wheels again and drove off. "If he heads to anywhere I don't know, I'll just go my way," she muttered. She followed the man, and just as he said, his destination wasn't far from where they had crashed. She followed him into a fairly large compound. There was a one-story glass house in the compound. It seemed busy as people were walking in and coming out. She parked her vehicle in the parking space and came down from her car. "Follow me," the man told her. "Fine woman like you, yet you can't drive properly." Olanma decided not to respond to that. She could see the digital billboard of the travel agency, Fly Safe, showing on one of the sides of the building. She followed the man into the building. The man greeted a few staff as they walked past. Then he climbed the stairs. Olanma followed him calmly. She would apologize to the boss, pay an agreeable sum, and disappear. She watched as the man talked to a receptionist, a young woman seated in an open area. "Wait here," the driver told Olanma, walking briskly towards an office. "Sit down," the lady at the reception said to her, pointing at the seats behind Olanma. "Thank you." Olanma sat down, taking a deep breath. "Today's delivery is delayed by 1 day. I can't meet up." 5 minutes later, the driver returned, his face beaming with smiles. You can go, madam. My boss said no need to have brought you here to apologize. He accepted your apology. You can go. He waved his hands in the air, indicating she should leave. Olanma was stunned. She stood up slowly. What did you say? She inclined her head sideways. I told you to give me his number so I can apologize to him and save us the time, but you refused. You dragged me all the way to this place only to tell me, he accepted your apology. You can go. She fumed. Look at this woman. Are you not supposed to be happy he didn't take any offense? He even scolded me for bringing you here. You're supposed to be thankful. You have to call him. I'm not going anywhere, Olanma said seriously, sitting down again. The driver turned to the receptionist. Eliza, see this woman. After smashing Olga's ML350, Olga said no problem, yet she's here, vibrating. Elizabeth, the receptionist, got up. I'll inform the boss. Maybe she wants to be escorted out by security. Olanma pouted. Call security. I can't miss my schedule, and at the end you dismiss me like that. She threw away her face, tapping her feet impatiently on the floor. Few minutes later, Olanma heard some movements behind her, but intentionally didn't turn around. You insisted on seeing me, a deep male voice said quietly. Olanma turned slowly, looking up at the person. She stared at him, transfixed. She had expected to see a much older person, probably in his 50s or 60s. But she was looking at a man in his mid-30s. And boy, he was handsome, dressed in a sky-blue shirt, folded sleeves, and black trousers. A queer feeling got hold of her, and she scratched her head in confusion. She felt like she had known him before. She sprang to her feet, not giving more thought to her feelings. Yes, I'm sorry to have bothered you. I hit your car mistakenly, and I apologize to your driver. But he insisted I come here and sort it out with you. You can watch part 4, the concluding part, in the comments. Are you subscribed to my channel? If you aren't, please hit the like button. Subscribe. Thank you. See you in part 4.